Welcome back to the Mulberry Book Drop. Hi, Bethany.
Sarah.
Happy July.
Oh my gosh, it's my birthday month.
It is. I was about to say happy birthday month.
Thank you.
That's so funny. How have you been? How has your summer been? How has your pool been?
Well, I basically live in my pool.
Yeah.
Yep. So I sometimes swim laps. Sometimes I float. Sometimes I sink. Doesn't matter. As long as I'm staying cool, I don't care.
As long as you stay cool and are coming up for air.
Yeah, well, I think about it sometimes.
And takes us into our segue of, I'm kidding.
I don't know how people live in Florida without pools.
I don't have a pool.
I find that just, you can come over anytime.
Yeah, I don't have a pool. My mom doesn't have a pool. I know a lot of people that don't have pools, but I know people that have had pools. And I think it's one of those Florida things of like, when you have a pool so long, you like don't use it.
Well, I also think there's a difference sometimes if you're like born and raised here and you're used to the heat and the air conditioning,
Yes.
whereas like we use our air conditioning because you have to, because you got to keep the humidity out of your house. But like, I hate it. I'd rather have the doors open,
Yeah.
So we're on the patio in the pool a lot.
Yeah. No, I'm used to I was born and raised here, and I'm just used to constantly dying.
You should bring your niece over to play.
I should. Thanks.
You really should.
All right.
You're invited.
We'll just move in.
You all heard it here. You are invited. Well, Sarah and her niece are invited. Slow your roll.
She was looking at the microphones when she said that, and I said, wow, okay, all right. We love people. Well, speaking of my niece, I also now have a nephew.
He's cute.
I didn't know that it was possible to love two people that much. And like, they're not even like my kids, but they're my niece and my nephew, and I just love them.
It's a different kind of love.
It is. And I was like, wow. I was like, I don't think I have any room in my heart for anybody else.
Hearts are incredible things.
Yeah. I was like, I just love them so much. He's so handsome.
He can come in the pool too.
Oh, he totally could. Yeah. I'll talk to my sister-in-law.
There you go. We are coming up on the end of summer already. Like, I can't even believe how quickly this went by again. I said that last year. I think this year went faster.
Honestly, so fast. It feels like it didn't even happen.
Pretty much. It's like, I don't know. You guys make summer so much fun. I can't thank you all enough. Like, it's so exciting having like our families that we only get to see over the summer come back. I think we said this last year. Like, we have loved having all of you back at the library again. We're going to miss you so much when August comes around.
It's like a family reunion.
It is. It is.
Oh my gosh, haven't seen you since last year.
It's like, it's really funny because it's like in May, you have this moment of like, oh my gosh, a couple of weeks and maybe we'll see so-and-so again. And then all of a sudden in June, they start showing up and they're like kind of coming every like week or two. And, by the time the kids get comfortable seeing us again, all of a sudden it's like back to school time and the parents go back to work and you're just like, oh, now we're not going to see them again until next year.
But it's like, I feel like we get like a sneak peek because holds will start coming in.
Yes.
Like they start ordering books and you're like, they're coming back.
Yes.
They're back. Oh my goodness.
I love summer. Thank you guys so much. This really has been a blast. Great summer theme, great summer programs. We've really enjoyed everything.
Agreed. It's been a good time.
So Sarah, why are we here today?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know this, but Bethany and I love to read books.
What?
I know. Listen, mic drop. Life-changing moment. But something that people do while they read, and it's funny because I don't think people catch on to it, but you had mentioned it to me the other day, and I was like, I do that kind of thing. So it's reading quirks.
Quirks, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about some. And I think you have some and I think I have some. So how about we go back and forth and talk about some of our reading quirks. You want to start?
I feel like I'm about to tell like my deep dark secrets or something.
Like it's confession.
Well, and it's funny because I was trying to think like, is there another word? Because I'm like, I don't want it to sound, it's kind of like when people are like, oh, you're such a nerd. I don't think being a nerd's a bad thing.
I don't think so either. I think it's just fun things and it's like what you do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So anyway, I think being a quirky person is a good thing.
Yeah.
We're all a little different. We're all a little weird around here. Well, I was trying to think about it. And the first thing I thought of was like the fact that I love reading so much that when I was little, even in the mornings, like if I didn't have a book to read, I would reread the cereal box. And it's like, that's the picture in my head is my Golden Grams box. And like how I would just read the same thing over and over and over. And I don't know why. It was like, I just woke up in the morning and I had to read. And that was the first thing that I thought of. And I still will read Like, if there's ever like a little advertisement on something, like I'm one of those people. Like, so if you ever see me just kind of zoning out, I'm probably reading like a box or a billboard or a poster or like whatever it is in my area, like just getting a glimpse.
I just realized I kind of do that too. Like if something is in front of me, like I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Huh.
Even if I've read it before, like I will reread it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. One of mine is like when I'm reading, you know how like you open a book and a lot of times you'll take your bookmark and like stick it in some like pages like in the back of the book or the front of the book, wherever you're at.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I'll just pick like a section of pages and that's where I'll put my bookmark and that's like my next reading goal. Like it's one of those things of like I don't want to stop reading until I get to this page.
Okay.
Like this is where I'm giving myself like, oh, here is like, okay, this is good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do that. So it's like a reading goal as I'm reading the book.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever notice that I have 2 bookmarks?
Yes. I've
Okay.
always, I thought you were taking notes.
No. Okay. So I just admitted this to my family a couple months ago. I always have 2 bookmarks in my book.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and pay attention and laugh at me if you choose. But the reason for the 2 bookmarks is the one that's always in the middle of the book is because I have checked the page numbers of the book and I have divided it by 2 and I have put the bookmark at the halfway point. And then the other bookmark that's either in front of or behind that is wherever I am in the book.
Huh.
So I always mark the halfway point.
Is it for a specific reason?
Nope.
Okay.
It's just comforting to me. I don't really have any reason why. And the reason I admitted it to them the other day was because we were reading something for our friends book club and the bookmark was like in a weird spot. And Matt thought that the book was like longer than it was. And I said, well, no. I was like, the stuff all back here was like a reader's guide and more information about the author and the book and blah, blah, blah. So the book is actually only this many pages. And so then when I divided that in half, that's where the bookmark went. So this is actually where the book is. And he was like, you are insane. And I was like, a little bit.
But you love her.
Yeah. So I always mark the halfway point.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I have noticed you doing that, but I didn't think that was the reason why.
Yep.
But hey, you like doing that. That's your thing. You've witnessed me do this, but if I really like a book, I hug it after I finish it.
I have seen you do that.
I do. And it happens the most with contemporary romance. And it happened with Fourth Wing. So I hugged it after I finished it. Okay. So if I really love it, and like, don't get me wrong, I give 5 stars to books, but like, there's 5 stars and there's 5 stars, and I absolutely love this book, and I don't want to let it go, and I give it a hug.
Okay, so here's another one then.
Okay.
I'm not a napper, okay, but on occasion, on a hot day when you're reading a book, sometimes you do fall asleep.
Uh-huh.
Not because it's a bad book, you just got a little drowsy.
Yeah.
And so I sort of hug my book while I sleep, and sometimes my family will try to make me more comfortable by taking the book.
No.
It wakes me up and I can't. And I'm like, no, you have to leave the book here.
Yeah.
And so I have to rest with the book. It's the only way I can take a nap.
Aw.
Yes.
Well, speaking of like that kind of line, I always carry a book with me, and I know you do too. And it's almost like it's an emotional support thing.
I think it is.
And it's one of those things of like, and I do the same with like a water bottle. I always carry a water bottle and a book. And even if I know where I'm going, like I'm not going to be able to read a book, that kind of thing, I still want it there.
Mm-hmm.
And like my mom can attest to it. Like my bags have always been big enough that I can fit like a book in it, or now like my Kindle. Mm-hmm. Like I always have I have it with me right now, and I'm not even reading a book on my Kindle. So, but it's just one of those things. It's like an emotional support. Like people have emotional support dogs. I have emotional support books.
Yes. So. Well, that's when we go on vacation, I pack 1 book per day, even though I know there's like no way I can read that many books while we're gone. But I still like, you don't know,
what
like
if?
Sometimes some books, like if the font is bigger and you blow through it like so fast, like there are books out there that can only take like a couple of hours. And then what if it turns out I needed 2 books on that one day? Like, oh my gosh, I don't have a book. I ran out. Like, I can't have that kind of panic in my life.
Same.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Same. I know I'm going away this weekend, and I'm like, how many books do I take? How many books do I currently have checked out? Like 15. How many of those 15 should I bring? I'm going to be gone for 3 days.
Yeah. All of them.
So, right? I'm like, oh, what if?
I do. I was thinking about this, and I also realized because somebody questioned me the one day because I was reading like on my Goodreads. I think I had like 3 or 4 books listed at one time, and they were like, "How do you read multiple books at one time?" And I was trying to explain to them, like I do, but I don't. I can only do it if they're different genres. So it's got to be like a nonfiction and a mystery and a contemporary romance. You know, something like
Yeah.
that where I can make sure I keep them completely separate. Otherwise, I like confuse the stories or I'm not committed to one of them. So like I can't do 2 mysteries at once. It's too much.
Gotcha.
But I can
You
do
would
it.
confuse storylines. I get that. I've done that
Yes.
before. So
Yeah. So if you ever see multiple books listed on my stuff, if we're like friends on social media or anything like that, they're different genres.
interesting.
Or like maybe one's an audiobook and one's physical. That I can also keep separate.
Same for the most part. For the most part. But kind of, yeah. So I think you do this too, but I pick out a new bookmark for every time I start a book.
You do.
And I'm not a sentimental person except for my bookmarks. So I like a couple weeks ago I pulled out one of in the back of one of our very old books. It still had like the OG way to check out books, like the stamper.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay. So I pulled it out and I actually had like everyone that works at the library like write their name, and then I wrote the year down at the bottom, and then like I took packing tape and taped it up, and it's now a bookmark.
It was, if you're not 100% sure what she's referring to, it was one of the old cards,
Yes,
the library card that's in for when you're checking out a library book that they used to have, and then they would put the date stamp on it. But that's what she had us all sign. It looks really fun. It's cool.
So I am sentimental about my bookmarks. That's about it though.
So Sarah and I actually know somebody else who also has a very specific way of selecting a bookmark for their book. And they actually pull a tarot card each time. And then whatever, if you believe in that kind of stuff, sometimes it might actually influence your read or whatever. But it was really fun talking and learning more about like their process. But there was one day when I was reshelving some books and I had to like shift this shelf a little bit. And so I was moving some stuff around and I was like, this is weird. And I pulled this one book out and I opened it and one of their tarot cards was in it. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I found them and I was like, look what I just found in like this book. And they were like, oh, you caught me. And they let me keep it. So that's actually one of my bookmarks now, is one of their tarot cards.
That's fun.
It was, yeah. It was really funny. They had no idea that they had accidentally left it in the book, and I totally caught them, and it was really amusing. So it makes me smile every time I pull that one, because I do pull a different bookmark each time.
So I have started doing this new thing where I try not to buy books, but if I love it that much, it goes back to like the hugging thing. Mm-hmm. If I love it that much and I want it in my personal collection because I know I will reread it, I do buy it. But I try to check it out first. Mm-hmm. But if I love it that much, I buy it.
Especially when you buy it from your favorite indie bookstore.
Period.
Book Crawl 2025, we're coming for you.
Yeah. And I don't even know how many months that is.
I know. It was still so fun. It was like months ago and I loved it.
Yeah, same.
Okay. So here's another one. I was trying to think about like where I read, and I remembered kind of like the cereal box thing. When I was younger, I used to babysit a lot, and the family that I babysit for the most was across the street, and they would always laugh because when they would come home after their kids were in bed, like when it was the evening or whatever, they would always find me in this one chair that they had, and I don't know what it was, you guys, but as a teenager, I liked to lay upside down. So like you'd lay on your back with like your head kind of hanging off and your legs would be up over the back of the chair. Mm-hmm. And there's Bethany with her Sweet Valley High books, like just reading away, or her sad Lurleen McDaniel 6 Months to Live, like crying her eyes out. And that was how I would read as a teenager. Well, as an adult, I have noticed more and more, I actually have a morning reading spot and an evening reading spot in my house. So in the morning, there's this one chair that we have, and I have noticed as we were thinking about doing this episode that I unknowingly sit in a very specific way in my chair with my book and my coffee, and that's where I read for 40 minutes every morning. And then in the evening, when my family kind of after dinner and once we come back inside and we're settling down, there is a spot on the couch that I like the most, and that is where I read in the evening for a little bit before we like watch our TV show or whatever.
That's cool.
So I'm like Sheldon on Big Bang Theory. Like, that's my spot.
That's my spot.
You're in my spot.
Yeah, that's funny. I like that.
Do you have like a specific reading spot?
Yes. I was like, do I? So we have a back porch at our house, and we have like this, like a love seat, like outside furniture.
Yeah.
And I love laying on that and like looking out because like we have a smallish yard, and then we have like a little white picket fence, and then there's like
water.
Like so like pond, whatever you want to call it, retention pond, and like the sun will bounce off of it. And my favorite is like when it's cooler outside, or like when like the sun is starting to set. That's my favorite time to read out there.
Yeah.
So, and like if the dog's in the backyard, and yeah, so that's my favorite spot to read at the house. It's also the spot where nobody bothers me.
Yeah.
So
your quiet spot.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I do have a couple other ones that I thought of. Like, I've noticed the older I get, the less I read the flap. I actually like to go into books blind. Okay. So sometimes I know about them, sometimes I don't. And I like more and more, I'm realizing that like it's fun for me when a friend or a patron is like, oh my gosh, I finished this book and I think you might love it. And they like, don't tell me anything else. And sometimes that's enough for me lately. And I've actually been really good. My new thing right now is I won't post that I'm reading something until I'm at least like 3 chapters in and I know I'm going to finish it. Because Sarah, guess what? I had 2 DNFs this year.
I'm proud of you.
I've done it.
Y'all, Bethany would like not torture herself, but a little bit to finish, but she doesn't like not finishing books.
Yeah.
So
I will still finish a book club book though, because I'm the moderator. I come up with questions. Like that is part of my job. And so a book club book is different. But if it is for my own personal reading, I don't have to finish it.
You don't. And that's okay. Yeah. Because it might not be for you, but it's for someone else.
Exactly.
So I actually have started doing that now too, about not putting that I was actually reading it until I'm into the book. Yeah. Because I'm like, oh no. Because I have gotten the question of, oh, I saw that you like were reading this book. And I said, oh, actually. Yeah. Didn't make it. Yep. So we're just going to slide that on through. I have one more. And I've noticed that I only like if I'm like reading, I only like stopping, like a stopping point. I really only like at the end of a chapter. Yeah. And I feel like that's really common. I feel like that one's not super uncommon, but especially like the book that I'm reading right now has like the book I just finished has 2 different viewpoints. Okay. Yeah. So 2 different characters. Yeah. And so sometimes when I come back, I'm like, what? And then I'm like, oh, wrong character. And so I'm like, I try to avoid that. Mm-hmm. So
I get that.
Yep.
So the last one that I was thinking about, and this is actually, a friend of ours does this, and I think it's the coolest idea. So you know how you said you hug your books sometimes? When they finish a book that just was particularly special for them, they actually go on Etsy and order a, sticker to commemorate that book.
That's cool.
And then they add it to like their Kindle. And I think that's just so beautiful. Like every time they take their Kindle out, it's just covered in all of these stickers that just, this book meant something to them in that moment when they read it. And it's just so beautiful. And like they even gifted one to me because there was a book that we had both read that like I was trying to explain it to her and was like, I don't think I'm doing this book justice. Like if you want to read it, read it. If you don't, you don't. But like, if you do read it, just please don't tell me you hate it for a couple of months because I can't handle it yet. And so when they finished the book, they just loved it so much that when they went to order the sticker, they were like, I have to get 2. And so they also got me a sticker. And it's like, aww. Just, so it's almost like we had this like little special moment and I got to learn about their stickers. And I think that's just the coolest thing. So I'm really curious if our listeners have any little quirks or secrets about their reading that they want to share, because I would be really curious. Like maybe it's a special snack that you like to eat while you're reading. Maybe, I know we've talked once about places that we read. Like I do read in my pool a lot. I am a professional pool reader. I do not get my books wet. I'm one of those people who can read in the car. I've never
Oh,
had
I can
motion
too.
sickness. Oh yeah. If the font's too small, I can't. I do
Yeah.
like a larger font when I'm in the car.
Hmm.
But yeah, girl can read anywhere.
If you do have any of like little quirks that we would love to hear, let us know. You can email us at themulberrylibrary@gmail.com. So we didn't give out a list of books this episode, and we know this is kind of a shorter episode for us, but we do want to, let you know what we're currently reading. But I didn't know if there was any last minute thoughts that you wanted to share. Last minute thoughts? Yeah, that's right.
Not really. Now I'm just like breaking down my reading and thinking like, what else do I do?
Yeah, like, oh, I need a camera to see what I do.
Yeah. And also, you guys, if you do ever see us like in the library once in a while when it is quiet and you actually see us with a book, like the best thing you can do is ask us, what are you reading? Like
Yeah.
that is a moment when we like don't mind being interrupted because like that's what we love to do is to talk about books.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are in that type of space where you're seeing a reader, like that's part of it, and sometimes it's really exciting because it's a book that I'm loving. Sometimes it's a book club book and maybe I want someone else's perspective and it's a book that you've already read. So please don't be afraid to ask us because we do on occasion have a quiet week where you might be seeing us kind of catching up on some of the new books and all that good stuff. So are you reading anything special right now, Sarah?
I am, and you actually read it. I'm reading The Husbands by Holly Gramazio. I did not say
We'll
that
put
right.
it in the show notes because I
Yeah,
can't
sorry,
remember.
guys.
Yeah, I can't remember the last name. I know started with a G.
Yeah. So that's what I'm currently reading.
Okay.
And I know you read it, but it seems like it's fun. So
Yeah.
we'll see
Yeah.
how it goes.
There's a lot of husbands.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are you reading?
So John Green, had like a new movie and stuff that was just put on like HBO or whatever. And so he also has this collection of nonfiction essays that I was like, I kept looking at, but I thought like, it's too smart for me because I don't know what that word means. So the title of the book is The Anthropocene Reviewed.
Oh my, that's
I
a big
know.
word.
So, and it was scaring me. And so finally I was like, but I really like John Green. So I think I just want to see what this is all about. So it turns out it's a book of essays, which is great because you can read like just a couple of them. You can set it down. It is one of those books where I can actually read other books while I'm reading it because it's so separate from like anything else that there's no confusing it. Most of the essays are sometimes only like 4 or 5 pages long at most. But I learned that Anthropocene is actually like the time, like the geological time period that we are living in. So kind of like, the Jurassic, that like we are in the Anthropocene period. And so what it is a bunch of essays where he is just reviewing things about now. And at the end of each of them, he gives it like, I give this 4.5 stars. I give this 1 star. And so it's really fun because first of all, I've learned a lot about him. So like, I didn't realize that we're the same age. I didn't realize that he grew up in Orlando. I'm finding out a lot of similarities between his characters in the book. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, like there are so many parts of him that were in this character or this person, or, he is very honest about some of the things he has struggled with in his life. But like, also some of the essays are just lighter. Like, they're about like Diet Dr. Pepper.
Oh,
Like he loves Diet Dr. Pepper.
interesting.
And then there's like some of them are really beautiful because they kind of come full circle. Like I think one of my favorite ones was about Halley's Comet. And so he tells the story about when Halley's Comet came in, you could see it and it was like in the 80s. And his dad took him to like a family cabin, like to try and get away from all the unnatural lights in the city so that they could maybe see it. And how like when they got out to the woods, they had to like make a place to sit. And so they put down the boards and like made their own little bench. And that like years later, he took somebody there and like the bench was still there.
Aww.
And like, so sometimes stuff like that and there was like a little, I don't want to spoil anything, but he also tells like some true history about Halley's Comet that was in relation to Mark Twain that I found really interesting. That was a story I had never known. He's just a really curious person and I do like his writing style. So cool. It's been really fun. And I think it's also a really good example of like, don't be afraid of what you don't know because I have looked at this title since we got it at the library. I have put it on display, like face out on display, staring at it and thinking like, I don't think I'm smart enough to read this book because I don't know what that word means. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally learned something. And like these essays are not like, they're deep, but they're not that deep. Like I can relate to a lot of them. I can understand some of them. And now I'm learning more about this author I really like and all of these characters that he writes about.
Oh, very cool.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So, and there you go. It's a geological time period.
All right.
Shocker.
Well, guys, if you have anything to add, if you have if you just want to, write and tell us hi, our email again is the mulberrylibrary@gmail.com. And with that,
happy reading, Mulberry. It's you.